Order the June 13, 2024 public hearing of the City of Prescott's Preservation Commission. Members present. I apologize, this is my first time doing this in about 16, 17 years, so I apologize if I butcher anybody's name or anything else. So, Rick Kearney? Kemery? See? First one. It goes right out the door. James McCarver? Here. Diane Travis? Rob Johnson is not here. Zanelle Volenseff? See, there's number 2. And I'm Richard Sprain, the chairman for today. So we have 1, 2, 3, 5 present, and we need 4 for the majority. Kelly Nunez, our historic preservation specialist. Alex Bernadette, our planning manager. Tammy DeWitt, and Jacob. Chelsea Walton, and Mayor Feelgood. This is an open public hearing and is being recorded by the city. The proceedings are being televised by representatives of the public media, local cable, and/or radio stations, and may be rebroadcast. The number of commissions present is 5, and the majority of vote to make the pass a motion. All parties wishing to be heard will be expected to state their full name for the record, and please speak loudly and clearly and close to the microphone. And please turn off all your electronic devices, and thank you.
And then we will take the first item, which is voting on the last meeting's minutes. Jake, what was the date on that? I know it's March.
March 14th.
March 14th.
Mr. Chair, Diane Travis, I move to approve the March 14th, 2025 minutes as presented.
Do I have a second? I have a second. All in favor? Aye. Noes? All right, motion carries.
Okay.
Move on to HP 24012, the request for after-the-fact stucco and metal permanently fencing at 410 East Goodwin Street. And I'll turn this over to Kaylee.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Chair, Commissioners. Kaylee Nunez, Historic Preservation Specialist. So today we are hearing a project that's an after-the-fact project, 402 and 410 East Goodwin Street. So today we are evaluating the 2 gazebos that were put up, I believe, about a year and a half ago. And then the perimeter fencing. Just a little history, especially for the new commissioners. These items were brought to the city's attention. I apologize, it was off. Brought to the city's attention like late spring 2023. So it was decided that the fencing and gazebos needed to go to preservation first to get approval prior to obtaining what we call a site permit. So the fencing and gazebos don't require a building permit, but they do require what's called a site permit, where we evaluate it for, it's basically planning and public works, evaluate it for proper placement on the property. We did take it to Preservation Commission in November 2023. It was denied. The commission asked for the applicant to provide alternatives specifically for the fence design. And then the applicant and property owner resubmitted a new application in this past October. So we are moving this forward again. And I will start with the presentation. So here's an aerial view of the property location. It is on the southwest corner of Pleasant Street and Goodwin. This property is in 2 historic districts. It's in a local and a national district. The reason you are hearing it is because Preservation Commission evaluates projects in local districts. And I will clarify that the home itself is not on the National Register of Historic Places. it was inventory back in the late 90s. So at that time, it wasn't eligible because it wasn't old enough. Now it would be because it's crossed that 50-year threshold. We just have not re-inventoried the district. With that said, the Ramadas, 10 by 10 by 9, wood construction, white with gray shingles, and they are just fastened to the pavers with like black hardware. There's one on either side. So you'll see I think it's like we'll have the owner come up and speak in a while. I think it's a triplex at this point. It's certainly a duplex. That's like symmetrical. So there is a Ramada on each side. And here's the fencing. It varies from 2.5 to 3 feet tall. It has a stucco base with stucco columns and CMU caps. And then the railing is square, metal, and horizontal. So here's some additional photos. I also got a dog in the photo. I always have trouble with this. Yeah. So this shows a gazebo on the left-hand side of the residence. And then that's just kind of a view of the front run of the fencing. And I took these 2 weeks ago. Here is the site plan the applicant provided with the Preservation Commission submittal. So I highlighted the 2 gazebos on there. It's of note that we've found, this isn't within the commission's purview, but we found the gazebos are actually encroaching in the right-of-way. So that's going to be an issue that's dealt with Public Works once we proceed to the site permit, if this gets approved. So I pulled this. This site plan was included with the building permit. They have a building permit running parallel with this for an interior remodel. And so you see the property line in that one cuts through them. And so this was provided by the applicant, the property owner, as a proposal to make the fencing more historically compatible. So basically, he would put horizontal wooden planks painted white over the metal railing to make it more of that original ranch style. Way back it had, you see that low fence, little picket fence. So try not to make you guys dizzy. So there is the proposal. And again, just a recap, I went over I didn't go over most of this. So I reviewed it against Chapter 10, East Prescott of the Preservation Master Plan. So the stucco walls are compatible with the home itself. It's mid-century, and there are quite a few stucco walls in the district. The CMU caps and metal railings are not. The proposed modification for the fencing improvement emanates cedar split rail fence, which is period and style appropriate for the home. And the style and materials for the Ramadas are appropriate for the district. However, the siding is not. And in my staff report, that I included ahead of the meeting, I kind of went more into the siding and how it talks about it in the specific chapter for East Prescott. And the idea is that any new construction, especially accessory structures, be located to the side or preferably rear of the property so as not to detract from the historic character. So that brings us to action. Move to approve with stipulations or deny, and I'm sorry, that is the old project number. So it's HP 24-012. And I will open it up for questions and comments. We do have the property owner and applicant, Chris Todd, here.
Would you step up if you
Sure. Yeah.
like a?
As well.
Candace?
Yeah, Candy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Come up to the podium and state your names, please.
Yeah, Chris Todd.
Microphone a little bit.
Okay. How's that? Can you hear me okay? All righty. I'm Chris Todd.
Candy Todd.
All right.
Start off, anybody on the commission have any questions?
So going back through my notes from 2023, it appears that this is exactly what was submitted back then. Have there been changes that I'm not seeing on the drawings, or?
Well, back in '23, I had hired a outside agency to represent me, and he actually didn't even show up for the meeting. He didn't even have any communication at all with the city, and he was fired, but did not do. So I wasn't even aware that the meeting was occurring. I just kind of handed it over, let him handle it. But I just want to preface something on the gazebos. Prior to the construction of the gazebos, I met with Ryan Green. I came in to the city. Initially, I wanted a permit for patio structures to come out forward. I wanted to kind of enhance the front of the property a little bit. It just kind of needed something architecturally. So after talking with Ryan, we both agreed. He suggested gazebos, and so I go, well, okay, let's submit for permits. And he goes, well, because they're under a certain square footage, a permit isn't required. So I actually came in to get a permit for those gazebos, and I was given the clearance to go ahead and build them, and a permit wasn't required. And that was by Ryan Green. And so we went ahead and started construction. He even stopped by a time or two, talked to me and my builder. And he goes, oh, yeah, these look great. Measured them. They're inside 200 square feet. So that's why we went ahead and put up the gazebos versus maybe a covered patio, because the covered patio they denied. They said you can't build on because it doesn't meet the setbacks, because everything has changed. Actually, with the setbacks, the house wouldn't even, with your new setbacks, the house couldn't even be built there. But so it was agreed that gazebos would be the way to go. It just needed something. We wanted cover on the front of the house, and that was in the original meeting never brought forth. So that was one of the things that, I wanted to bring up today, is that we did try to permit these things, and we were told that a permit was not required. So that being said, but the fence, on the other hand, we did not. We just put the fence in, and that was bad on me. But as far as the gazebos go, we thought we were doing the right thing. So, I mean, they were very, very expensive to put in. We wouldn't just arbitrarily build these things and, hope they wouldn't be noticed. We knew they were going to be significant. And anyway, we tried to design them ranch style, tie in with the house, same roof line, everything. So this is where we're at. Yeah, right there is a good. And then Ryan did come in, stop by periodically, and like I said, he said it looked good, and measured, said we're within the 200 square feet requirement of not needing a permit. And then it wasn't until after they were built that we found out that they needed to go through historical preservation to get some sort of to get the site
Yeah,
permit.
the preservation is more of like the aesthetic approval
Right.
that precedes permitting, building permit.
And unfortunately, at the time, Ryan never mentioned it. We didn't even know we had to go through that process. So we thought we were doing the right thing. And that's kind of where we're at right now.
And of course, Ryan is not the building official anymore, so we're kind of missing
Yeah.
that link
Yeah.
for this hearing.
So he didn't leave any records or anything indicating that visit of the.
No,
Temporary
not that I'm
approval.
aware of, no. Again, we do have that permit for the remodel, running alongside that, but that was for interior modifications.
Was on the east side of the building, was that added on? I'm just looking at the original house. It looks like an individual home. And did you add remodel to the east of the original structure?
East side.
The east side, that would be
On the alley side.
on the alley.
Yes,
Was that added on, or that was the original
No, the
structure?
only thing, and it was on the original permit, is we enclosed that breezeway and towards the center there.
Right.
Yeah, right to the left of the
Other
garage.
side.
there.
Yeah, right where the arrow is. And that was permitted. That was all.
Yeah.
Everything that we did was on the permit. But yeah, as far as the east side of the building, we submitted new permits for that side. We haven't started that side yet.
Yeah, so the original house wasn't as large as the structure that we're seeing right now.
We didn't add any exterior, square footage to it. There is a shed that was added to the west side. It's about 4x4, tied into the side of the building. It's for mechanical room. It's really kind of tough to see it.
Yeah, I think it's behind, it's like a
That tree,
wagon.
yeah. It's kind of tucked in right there. It's just big enough for a hot water heater.
And new information, apparently Ryan did put a condition on the remodel permit. I don't know at what point in the timeline this happened, but that the gazebos and fence need to be permitted separately. And the way this happened was we had, a prior commissioner and one commissioner who live on Mount Vernon. So I think they were the ones to notice it, and bring it forth to staff in 2023.
Yeah, that was, they had been constructed completely. We had just started paint, and when we got a cease and assist order saying they needed to be permitted, but we had already been giving the AOK to put them in. This came after they were built. We went in trying to get the permit. We're told we didn't need a permit, built them, and then it was after they were built that we were, instructed that a permit was actually needed. So that's where we're at.
That's Rick Sprain. This came before us, it was November 3rd of '23, and it was denied 5-2 because of the fence and the Ramadas. And I believe on the 402 side, the fence wasn't complete yet. I went back and looked at the pictures,
It was built, the structure was completely built.
but the metal was not in,
It was already ordered and sitting.
but it was not in.
It was not in.
And have you done anything to mitigate since the year and a half to bring it to code, to try to move anything, to actually go by what was submitted for the wood rather than what you have with the metal?
What I may step in there, we wanted commission approval for that modification.
Correct.
So,
And we
yeah,
denied it, right?
Well, it was a little bit nebulous. It was like, bring us an alternative, but it wasn't really specified for the fence, for the gazebo. So what, was provided, the gazebos, there's really not anything you can do besides moving them. But, this is a modification.
Right, and that was submitted in 2023, and again, for this one, and that's not what we ended up with. If I recall back, I looked real quick, we denied, both the Ramada and the fence to be modified to show what they actually, I think, did in the plans. And I think we discussed actually having the Ramadas moved back so they were in compliance. And on the original drawing, the fence wasn't even in it. That was in the
The
recent
site
one.
plan?
The 23, the fence wasn't on that one. It's
Yeah.
highlighted in pink. That wasn't on the one that's submitted in 23.
I don't believe so. I'd have to, I didn't include the 23 presentation in the folder here. Because we basically, what we did is we had Mr. Todd just apply anew for preservation because it had gotten, well, it basically expired. So we had to renew it, and these are the materials submitted under the new permit, or project, rather.
Yeah, because I have the original one, and everything in pink on there was, other than the Ramadas, was not included. So that's new for the fence, because I believe we rejected because of the metal on it, and it had the coverings on the post or something like that.
Yeah, you can see it, like,
Yeah. Actually,
oh, I have
the
a mouse.
fencing, there are split rail fence in front, right in front of the library. There are metal fences running horizontal. There's also,
Wrought iron fences.
no.
No, but the library isn't in this district. It isn't. But you're using it as an example, as a
Yeah.
building, a property in close proximity that has
Yeah, and we're
similar
trying to
railings.
grab inspiration from fencing around. I mean, there's also chain link fencing. It's all over the place.
That doesn't mean it's within the specs of the historical preservation part of it. Some of that is old, but it doesn't make it fitting to do it. Just because somebody else has it doesn't mean you can go ahead and do it, or because the
Right.
library has a picture of it from someplace in the past.
But again, we're willing to do whatever it takes. We totally are on board with the whole, preserving the historical aspect of the neighborhood, and that was a suggestion that I just drafted up, that it'd give it that planking, the two horizontal planks from, back in '56 when it was built. So, I mean, if, there's stucco columns throughout the whole community. It's just a matter of, getting whatever you want between the posts. We're trying to make it aesthetically pleasing and to the neighborhood, trying to keep in that time period. And adding that planking would, that's like a 6-inch wide plank all the way through would give it that original look.
Diane Travis again. So if we were to ask you to remove the CMU capping and add that wooden planking to take it back to the ranch style, you'd be okay with that?
Yeah, because there's ways I can leave the plank. I could just cap it. I could create a piece that covers it.
You're talking the top of the columns?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the caps. Yeah, is that what you're talking? Okay, maybe the cap of the railing, the fence railing. No. Okay, yeah. What do you want done on those?
The removal of the CMU capping?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. You brought up, you've got permits for an additional remodel, and this isn't part of our review today, but I have some concerns because I can see changes have been made that haven't come up in front of us, such as closing in one of the breezeways, and it appears that one of the windows has been changed.
That was all in the original permitting.
We haven't touched that house.
Yeah.
But Kaylee, it didn't come before us.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That area? And then-
Yeah, the
Did you-
breezeway
I mean,
up to the left of the garages and the window to the left of the garage.
Yes, there have been window replacements done. I believe this window right here, is that one that rolls up?
Every single
It's
window
a-
in that house is new, was
Yes.
permitted, yeah.
Yeah.
The other house hasn't been touched.
The original sizes of the windows are all, we haven't changed the size. That is an awning window in the beginning. Yeah, awning windows
It
are.
opens like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awnings are very common, awning windows. That's just where it opens from the top
Okay.
up.
I'm just looking at the style of the window, what it used to be to what it is now, and my concern is the windows were replaced without coming before us as well. And I know that's not something we're voting on today, but trust is kind of being undermined here by
Well,
having things done.
I disagree. Everything on the blueprint, it shows we're replacing the original windows. They inspected it. They actually came out and did inspections throughout construction. And that enclosed breezeway was, I had to show, I have a full set of plans. I hired an architect, and he had to show before pictures, existing construction, and after. So the enclosed breezeway was part of the permitted process, permitting process. All the windows were up front, known to be getting changed out. All of that was up front. Nothing was hidden. That's why it took 2 years to get the permits.
Okay, yeah, we're kind of getting off of why we're here today, but
Right.
that's part of the process, and I was just concerned, okay, you've got it permitted, but yeah, why, I wanted to bring up why didn't the windows and the breezeway come before us? But yeah, I'd like to get
Yeah.
back to the fence and the Ramadas, I guess.
Yeah, it was a matter of getting, the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
The horse usually does go before the cart, other way around. So, yes. So, yeah, that kind of complicates. It adds another layer of complication. And
I
as,
feel like we're in a retroactive, not proactive position with this whole project.
well,
That's my
yes,
concern.
we are. We are. That's what makes it challenging.
Right. The fence, yes. The gazebos, no. We did what we were supposed to do. We did what we were supposed to do. We came to the city, requested permits, were told we didn't need permits, given the go-ahead to go ahead and build them, built them, and then it was after the fact that, we were told, no, you just got to go through preservation. So anyway, the fence, yes, but the gazebos, we did correctly, as well as the whole permitting process on the original structure.
Oh, I was just going to add that, we didn't even know there was a preservation committee. So this is kind of new to us.
Yeah, we did.
And we didn't buy a
I'm sorry.
historical home with a registry or anything. And I didn't think even the house was in a historical district until I've learned, through this process. So it's not like we were, to your point, Diane, 100%, we wanted to be trusted. We have no desire to be retroactive in this.
So this is where you come in. Your judgment comes
So-
in. I provide the analysis in the staff report, and
So our options for a motion is basically have them leave it as it is. We could say redo the fence, bring it within code, and then we still have to deal with the Ramadas.
yes, we'll have to make a motion
For
that's
each,
specific.
or
Well, you can put both
Put
in
'em
the
together?
same motion, but we have to address both the
Right.
gazebos and fencing.
so. And with
And
the
really, probably more appropriate would be move to approve with modifications rather than stipulations. So that would work.
To modify, well, depending on what the motion, to modify the fence to
Yeah, the
maybe his
provided.
their original design with the wood and removing the caps.
Yes.
I could do a section of the fence, get it to that point where you're agreeable, and then we can move on with the whole fence. I could take one section of it, say on the alley side, and we could get together, I can present certain modifications. In fact, Candy came up with some really cool wagon wheels, give it that ranch look that we could do the planking. I don't know if you want to show them on your phone.
Yeah, do you want to see it? No?
That's an idea,
Sure.
before just saying do the whole thing. I think maybe that is a good idea to do just a less visible portion
Section.
of it.
Yeah.
Then I can go out there and take pictures. Of course.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking either or, not too much, but I'm open to whatever is actually.
Speaking as a preservation specialist, I think just the planks would be preferable, just because we
Okay.
don't have
Wagon
that.
wheels.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
a little unique.
Right.
Points for creativity.
We're just,
So Diane Travis again, I'm just going to let you guys know my position. I think I would be okay with the CMU caps being removed and the planking added to make it appear to be ranch style again. As far as the Ramada, that's kind of a sticky wicket because someone at the city told you could leave it there. It does not make, it does not follow preservation guidelines. I'm kind of torn there.
The alternative was either to move it back 2 feet closer to the house, because it's set 7 feet is supposed to be.
Yeah,
the setback,
so
and it's at
for
5.
technical purposes, we allowed the southern property line to be considered this side because of how the lots were originally platted. For aesthetic purposes, anyone looks at it, that south side is the front, right? But we did, have some leeway there in that if that was considered the front by planning, they'd have to be 25 feet back, which just wouldn't work. I think there is an issue, though, if we set it back 2 more feet, we won't have the desired separation that fire likes to see, which is 10 feet.
Between the house and another structure?
Yeah, between structures. So it is indeed a sticky wicket.
Because they look like there's something that should have been in the backyard rather than
Yeah, and
something that
that's-
was in the front yard. It makes in the front yard look like the backyard.
That's
how I look at it.
what the guidelines really call for. Like, I said in my more detailed analysis, and I said, the materials are appropriate. It's just the siding. Siding is an issue. Site.
So did you say that the original's platting was the south side was the back part of the house?
And it would be the side. So the way these are they're like key lots that the fronts were on, it's an old plat. So the front of the properties were considered to be along Pleasant Street, right? With kind of this orientation of the front, being more narrow. And when you go over to Mount Vernon, that's how the homes are. This one's kind of unique in its orientation. And of course that it's on a corner. So any more questions?
Do we have someone to make a motion then?
And again, sorry, it's 24-012. You don't have to add necessarily all the jargon with the dimensions, but again, we do have to specifically address the fencing and the gazebos.
So for the purpose of making a motion, Diane Travis here, I move to approve with amendments the fence, remove the CMU cap, add the wood planks. The Ramadas, I'm going to move to approve them.
Okay, and before we go forward with the second, regarding the fencing, he's going to do a section of it. Do you want that to come back to preservation, or will you defer to my judgment on that?
I will defer to your judgment.
Okay.
I think it should come back.
Okay, so we need 4 to pass that motion. So you could, we need a second first.
Correct. Well, you have a second to Diane's motion.
I second the motion.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye. Oppose? 4-1.
4-1, it passes. Okay, and then you'll be in contact with me regarding modifying the fence. Just put up a section and I'll come out, okay?
What would you like to see that cap, once we remove it, just blocked over?
I think just stuck over the top, yeah, like
Okay.
the rest of the columns are.
Okay,
Less modern, more branched out.
okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
guys, your time.
Yeah.
all right.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And I have some staff updates. Okay. So as you can see, Michael Mirko stepped down. You know, I'm not going to go into it, but he said due to personal reasons. Hence, we have Rick for the chair. But the way, it's not necessarily the bylaws, but the establishing ordinance for PPC states that the commission themselves votes on the new chair and vice chair. So I have to agendize that for the next meeting, so just keep that in mind. The clerk is aware, and they will be posting the vacancy. We're looking to fill that. Item number 2, so the state and national preservation scape. I went to the state conference down in Phoenix a couple weeks ago. We're in interesting times. Funding is frozen at the federal level right now. So the draft bill right now seeks to zero out the National Preservation Fund starting next year. It seeks to just push preservation down to a local level only. So the state office receives funding directly from the feds. So as we stand now, without, that signature, the state offices will close in August. Yeah. So how you can help, and I've been doing this, you can write elected officials as well as contact the League of AZ Cities and Towns, because this will have a really detrimental effect. SHPO also supplies us with those CLG grant monies. They supply us with technical assistance. So the undercurrent at the conference was a little more subdued this year, I'd say. Number 3, master plan update. Making progress. I just, it's a beast. It's 600 so pages, so I'm just going chapter by chapter each week, editing current content. Some good news is when I went to the conference, the state's like, we have leftover grant money that we need to spend. And I was like, oh, okay. So we got approved to apply for another CLG grant. It's going to help with, I won't go too much into it, but we have this software called Arches that is an open source GIS. It's a historic resource management software. Kat was the one who looked into that and contracted. So the grant money will cover the annual subscription to that. Kat has agreed to stay on to help write the new content for chapters, because we have 6 chapters that need to be created anew. And honestly, for my sanity and just to keep it moving forward, I've been focusing on editing existing content. And then possibly monies for a consultant to do public outreach. I will email you guys my updated timeline that I provided as an attachment to council. So again, commission review will occur in fall, early winter. And that is all I have.
I kind of want to touch on the SHPO thing also. The money does run out at the end of August. And SHPO for the state has 9 employees, 7 of them will be laid off. 2 of them will still be there, but they're paid by parks. And all the money that goes to SHPO, it's not tax dollars, it's actually from oil producing rigs and the oil companies. It's all a tax on the drilling and stuff. So
Yes, interesting fact.
it's interesting how that happens. I'm going to be affected by it. One of my other duties that I do, I am the, for the Prescott portion of the site steward program. That will be abolished. We have about 500 volunteers, only one paid employee for the state, and his position will be removed. But we have 500 volunteers and I think about 3,500 sites that we monitor throughout Arizona that are historical, that are, it's really kind of sad. We do everything from old forts to the Indian ruins to a little bit of everything, but that'll be wiped away. In Ohio, it's already been taken away. They already lost their money, so they've already laid off everybody. And I hope we don't do that here. And like I said, if we can get our representatives to do something, it would be greatly appreciated.
Right, you can, yeah, write to them. I wrote to the congressmen, state representatives. And I didn't hear back from them. I'm going to keep emailing. So like in my email, I cited like specific examples of why preservation is important to Prescott. I think that helps, or I hope it helps.
Can you email us copies of what you sent in?
Sure. Yes.
Okay, and we have two new members on the board. If you could just introduce yourselves real quick and just kind of tell us who you are.
I'm Rick Kimry, actually a newcomer to this town. I've been here for a total of about 8 years, 4 years the second time. I'm an architect local here in Prescott and do anything I can to help this town kind of remain its charm, but allow things to move on and progress.
I'm Janelle Volhansef, and I've been visiting Prescott because my parents have lived here for 10 years, but I just permanently relocated here in 21. And I came because it's a smaller town, bigger to you guys now than it was, but to me, small town. I love the charm, love the people and everything about it. I have a history in real estate development. I was one of the good ones, I promise. And I feel like what my history has been can help benefit the commission and the city of Prescott. And I am also interested in maintaining the charm that it has now, but processing what we need to process.
Thank you. We're happy to have you both. Okay,
Anything else?
that's all I have.
Meeting is adjourned.